big 550 KTRS. We're excited about today's program. We try to get the movers and shakers. And in a couple of months, Al Hrabowski will go into the St. Louis Cardinal Hall of Fame. He'll join us today at 10:35. Talk a little golf with Eagle Springs Golf Course. They're our golf course of the week. And then our weekly special, Bassos, the new location right here in Westport. Blaise Pastorette will be with us in studio. I think when everybody thinks Bassos, they think of one thing, the pizza with the honey glaze.
Yes, and I was actually asleep this morning when I made our show sheet. We're a day early on Eagle Springs. That's tomorrow.
Okay.
And we also are looking forward to have Dr. Joe Molesky in with some late-breaking news as it relates to these weight loss drugs. New stuff we're learning all the time.
We'll tease the story a little bit better.
I wish I did have the. I just know that there's some new benefits that have been recently researched that we didn't know about before when it comes to these weight loss drugs. We knew that it helps stuff like diabetes and heart issues, but there's new, apparently, studies on the horizon that have shown us there are other benefits beyond weight loss as well.
I'm going to mention this to Joe, but I have to tell you, there are some people that I've known that have gone on this and worked with Joe, and it's amazing the transformation in their life. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I think you and I both, looking back on a year ago when we were having this discussion and our thoughts were, are people going to need to do this forever? I mean, there's just so much more information we know than we did a year ago. And firsthand accounts, as you said, of me too in my life, people who have greatly benefited. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation.
All right. So what has been going on in your life in the last 24 hours?
Well, I know I keep bringing it up, but it is just delightful to have my adult oldest daughter home for the week.
Nice.
It's just been nothing but really fun and really joyful, and we've had some really good quality time together. And it's really rewarding as a parent to get to this place in life where your kids are grown up and are smarter about so many things, certainly than I was at her age and certainly than I am today as well. So I learn a lot, and it's just been a really good week.
And she's on scholarship when she comes home. Doesn't open up that wallet. You guys are picking up everything, correct?
Yes, that's how it goes. Yeah. And I don't mind. I think that's kind of a fun privilege as a parent to treat her to a few things. I mean, she would never ask for anything, and she's very independent. She went off and when I was here at the station yesterday, because she's got the week off, she went and got a pedicure. I mean, she wasn't saying, "Oh, are you guys going to cover any of that for me?" by any means. But yeah, when we go out to eat, for sure.
Like the reason when Monique finally calls Brown and Crouppen, the main reason for the divorce, it'll be slipping the kids money behind my back. That'll be number one.
Yeah, I married into John's family, and he had this wonderful grandfather who was a World War II veteran and unfortunately died too young before we actually married. But even when I was just the girlfriend that came to the family events, he was that grandpa who'd come up and shake your hand and slip you a 50 just to say, "Ooh, you guys need it this time of life. It's a good time of life." And I was like, "Your grandpa's giving me money." But John said, "That's fine as long as he's giving it to me too. Don't complain."
Well, don't you think it's true? Maybe we've discussed this on this program about how it's give it away if you have some extra when they're at a time in their lives where they really need it. Mm-hmm. And that time is between 25 and 50 with young families and working all the time. Yeah,
we have talked about it. And it's also, we've been blessed to have kids that are pretty independent, right? They've worked hard and they've done well. And so they're not asking for it, but it's just a nice thing to be able to, like you said, to buy Dom his first really nice suit, to be able to go into the courthouse as a young lawyer. That's fun to do as a parent sometimes too. Yeah. Although we're paying for a wedding coming up next May, so I'm sure that as I remember from the last time we did a wedding, the fun aspect of it starts to wear out over time.
Where will the wedding be?
It's going to be down in Jupiter, Florida, where Jane's fiance is from, and so mixing it up a little. We had a great experience with Peyton getting married here.
Wait a minute, now this is your call? This is your daughter?
Well, it's her call.
Okay, and believe me, there's nothing wrong with choosing Jupiter.
Yeah, and so she thought about it really hard. They live in Austin, Texas, and they thought about having it in Austin, thought about coming back to St. Louis, but they just really love being in Jupiter. It's and there's just so many beautiful places to choose from that ultimately they found the place they wanted to have their wedding celebration there, and the rest of us said, no problemo.
One time in spring training, we had a little time, and we went through like where Tiger lived, where Greg Norman lived. I mean, there is a lot of money in that area, and it's a magnificent area.
It really is, and apparently, my future son-in-law's family has been there for a really long time, and so they've seen it grow and change so much over the years. And so many St. Louisans that I talk to have a connection to Jupiter because, of course, when you fly down to West Palm Beach, anytime during spring training, the entire plane is packed full of people in Cardinals hats and T-shirts.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun connections with St. Louisans in that area.
And that place will undergo a facelift. And in fact, may be happening now where the Cardinals train because it is old. They did need new stuff. So I think, by the way, a lot of people wonder what John Mozeliak's going to do. I think like Bill DeWitt may make him in charge of that project because I think he'll want to stay in the organization.
Yeah, there's a long history there. Big news for you. I was going to text you because I knew you'd be so excited because I had a chance last night to watch the trailer for the new and final Downton Abbey movie that's coming in September.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it looks so good. I'm already really excited. I know you'll want to mark your calendar.
Yeah. Maybe get a women's exchange salad, just kick back and just watch that. That sounds great.
I know. It really is. Connor McCarthy, you have been up since the crack of dawn, literally filling in for Captain Paul Kopsky on the traffic reporting for the McGraw Show. How'd that go today? Sounded good from our end.
Well, that's great. Went great. Getting up at 4:30 is difficult, but it's once you're up, you're up. That's how I always feel about it. I'm unable to go to bed early though. That's always my biggest problem. So I'm operating on less sleep than normal.
Yes, because you're a night owl.
Yeah. Well, I definitely go to bed later than some. I not as much as I used to, but I still went to bed at about 12 o'clock, 12:30, and I had to get up 4 hours later.
Yeah, definitely. You stay up a lot later than Jill. That is for sure.
All right, let's take a short time out, and we're going to come back with the opening dialogue. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
Hi, Matt Kearns, president of St. Lou Fringe. Our festival is St. Louis's stage for new works. Grab a festival pass and meet me August 11th through 17th at STL Fringe Fest 25 for comedies like The Hot Folder by St. Louis native Jeremy Pinson. See what happens when Jeremy's high school classmates find his quote-unquote hot folder on his desktop and how he navigates the ups and downs of high school after all of its contents are exposed. This show is hilarious. Grab passes and tickets for STL Fringe Fest today, and I'll see you at the Fringe. STLFringe.org.
Make a splash this summer with Dogtown Pizza. The weather and the pizza ovens are heating up, so stock up on 12 different flavors of your favorite Dogtown. Why cook hamburgers on the grill when you can get a hamburger pizza? Hot chicken, the SOB and for me, and from the garden, tomato, basil, garlic, and the veggie. Make your next pool party a pizza party with 12 different flavors of Dogtown, one for every swimmer in your house. Make it a Dogtown summer at every local grocery store and dogtownpizza.com.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Every Friday, tune into the weekly Golf Course Spotlight, brought to you by Yingling Flight, the next generation of light beer, and by Park North Golf Club, Edwardsville's newest golf entertainment venue. And this week, we are spotlighting Eagle Springs Golf Course. So tune in to learn more about their course and facilities this Friday on The Frank and Jill Show.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment. A moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen. A moment to find your dream, or build one. A moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS.
Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Thought one. So yesterday I went to the funeral of the father of Joe Davis, who I refer to as my third son. Joe's a producer, board op engineer, and just a do-it-all employee here at KTRS. He was my guy at KFNS. His father, Stephen Wayne Davis, passed away a few weeks ago at age 62. I have never met Stephen, but after being there yesterday and knowing the son he raised, I know Stephen was a heck of a man. Anyway, what I thought was magnificent was they handed out this program that was about 15 pages in color with pictures and words that described his life. But here's the best part. The back page was Steve's own message to the people who will live on without him. He knew that this day was coming. Let me read just a little. Y'all know I'm not one for long goodbyes, so don't you dare sit around too long being sad. I packed a lot of life into the years, didn't I? A little music, a little food, a lot of love, and way too much wrestling. Mm-hmm. Just know this, I'm still with you, probably cracking jokes in heaven and sneaking ribs off the grill. Keep the music going, the party's loud, and the family close. Love deeper, laugh louder, and live like you mean it. Take care of one another. I'm good here. In addition to that being prose to live by, the concept is wonderful. Directly speak to your loved ones with a personal message after you've gone. Like maybe to each kid, sending a long note telling them it was a thrill of a lifetime to be your dad or your mom and relive all the special moments in that email or in that handwritten note and how much you enjoyed it. And obviously one to your spouse too. I did something like that when the kids went to college, like a guide to living, and snuck it in their dorm room before we left after dropping them off. But I don't know if they ever read it. But this was so great by Steve to do. God bless that family as they mourn his loss. What do you think of the idea? A letter or a video that you know is going to be delivered to that person after you pass away. I think the concept is incredible.
I do too. I'm so glad you were there to pay your respects to Joe, who's you two have such a great and special relationship. And of course, our condolences go out to Joe and his wonderful family as well. And that's incredible. I'm so glad you shared that. And I can't imagine the peace of mind that would give me when somebody I loved that much was saying, remember how great my life was, and giving us permission to focus on that during this really hard time. Well done. When I was in college, I had 3 very good friends who all lost dads in the first 2 years of their life in the Vietnam War. And that's because I was born in 1968. So, of course, as we were going to college, that was the generation of people whose dads had fought, and many of them had died in the Vietnam War. So when I had the chance to go to the Vietnam Memorial a number of years ago in Washington, D.C., it was my honor and privilege to be able to make a pencil etching of my 3 friends' dads as they were on the wall.
Oh, nice.
And beginning at 10 a.m. today, you can see and touch the names inscribed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial without having to travel to D.C. That's because there's going to be a 3/4 scale replica of Maya Lin's iconic wall that was created by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, the wall that heals. It's been touring the U.S. for the last 30 years, and it arrived at Jefferson Barracks with a motorcycle escort on Tuesday and officially opens to the public at 10 a.m. today. I hope a lot of local folks take the time to go out and honor those veterans by visiting this traveling memorial here in St. Louis.
How long do you think it's going to be here? Do you know?
I think, well, there's a couple of just other quick things. There are more than 450 St. Louisans on the wall. I do not know how long it's going to be here. I didn't copy that down.
That's great, though. That's awesome. Okay, thought two. I'm a person who abhors boredom, especially in sports, who cherishes bravado, color, and almost conceit in comments because we rarely get it as reporters. We get comments more like, well, we have to take it day by day. I credit my teammates for that success. I was fortunate to have that moment. We love athletes with flair, on the court, on the field, or off the court or off the field. My favorite four of all time, Joe Namath, Reggie Jackson, Larry Bird, Greg Norman. They all had a swagger. And although I'm old school in so many ways, I like it when athletes enjoy their home runs. And whether we like it or not, kids see it and emulate it. And this may have gone too far. Marco Rocco, good Italian boy, he's 12 years old, plays for a New Jersey Little League team. They're trying to get to the Little League World Series. Well, he hit a home run, and he flipped his bat as a 12-year-old. They won the game 8-0. He was ejected to, quote, a safety concern because of that. There's a rule in Little League that reads no horseplay. I'm not sure what that means. A temporary restraining order was filed on Tuesday in hopes of letting Rocco play the next game. The ruling comes down today at 3 o'clock. Come on. Now, apparently, Little League International openly promotes bat flipping on their social media accounts. But they've actually taken this to court. Come on, let Rocco play. But it's a reminder that kids do what they see from adults.
Okay, so how much of your enjoyment and interest in this story is to do with the fact that his name is Rocco?
That helped.
How helped? Yeah. What would you say about it? Gave it about a 50% amplification of interest on your part?
No, I think more of it was just a 12-year-old just flipping his bat. I mean, I haven't seen 12-year-old baseball games probably in about 12 years, so that concept seems foreign. But, you know, he sees it, he emulates it. He didn't hurt anybody.
Okay, text question. Somebody wants to know, what do you mean by flipping the bat?
Well, after you hit a home run, you know, you flip it in the air. It's
kind of like a baton. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And I used to think that when Albert would hit his home runs and just kind of glance at it, Reggie was the first to do it, I think. I think it was really awesome. It was really cool. But maybe 12-year-olds, I bet we're going to get people on the text lines, maybe some coaches, that's out of line, that's out of line. I probably for 12-year-olds, but I do like it in the big leagues. We're going to see the San Diego Padres tonight, and they got a bunch of bat flippers. Yes, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, they're fun.
Yeah, and, you know, 12-year-olds emulating their idols, I can't give them too much of a hard time, but rules are rules. I know some of you are going to be thinking that, and you may be right as well. So I was talking to a friend who has a daughter living in Italy, and he's an older guy, and now in his 80s, and it has loved being able to spend some time visiting her just about every single summer, including after he lost his wife a number of years ago. And he commented that the trip was great this year, but he definitely noticed that the dollar is leaving American travelers with less buying power this summer. He said he wasn't quite counting on the difference in the fact that the dollar has been really strong in Europe for a number of years, isn't so much now. So I checked into it, and of course, the Wall Street Journal says exactly that. The U.S. dollar's decline in this first half of the year against peer currency is the steepest in nearly 50 years. Now, again, if somebody can afford to travel to Europe, we can't really, don't cry for them, Argentina. I totally get that. But it is something that travelers are reporting around the country, not just my elderly friend here in St. Louis, that they've noticed that you got to budget a little bit extra this year because gone are the days when the dollar went as far as it used to against those foreign currencies, particularly in European countries.
All right. Thought three, kind of a potpourri. Best thing to buy this summer for me, mango. The kind in the big container that they sell at Costco. where those slices, and when those slices are ripe, I can't think of anything I would rather eat more. It's very affordable. It just pops with flavor. It's unbelievable. Congrats to Eli Drinkwitz. Moments ago, he signed a contract extension with Mizzou, which will take him through the 2029 season. Don't know the numbers. I do know he made about $9 million a year last year. He has won more games in his first 5 years as a Mizzou coach than any coach in history. Of course, they are playing more games nowadays. Finally, we're 7 days away from the most talked about thing in St. Louis sports, the trade deadline in baseball. And after a disastrous road trip coming out of the All-Star break, it could be really interesting. The Cardinals, especially in 2011, were really active at the trade deadline because they add, and they added enough pitching to win a World Series. Not sure if I can ever remember a time where they turned the trade deadline into a clearance sale. I mean, that's not definite, but that's what they should do. We'll see if they make history next week.
Quick follow-up question. I ran into an old acquaintance earlier this week, diehard Mizzou fan, and he said he'd kind of given up trying to track the recruiting in our current climate with so many players coming and going at different times than used to be. And so I said, well, what do you think about incoming football and basketball, what you can see from recruiting so far? And he said, I have no idea. I'm just going to show up when the season starts and cross my fingers that people who know a lot more about this than me have done a good job. So I want your assessment.
Well, I can tell you, basketball-wise, it's off the charts. They got the second highest player in the history of their program in terms of a ranking. They got the best player in the state of Missouri commitment. They have another chance to get a really so basketball is off the charts. Football, high school-wise, it has not been good, but I think Coach Drinkwitz is taking this philosophy that, hey, I'd like to get 4-star and 5-star players, but if I don't, it's okay because at the end of the season, I'll get the 21 and 22 and 23-year-old guys out of the portal who can play right away, and I have the money to do it.
And so is it because there aren't as many 4-star and 5-star players, or they're just getting gobbled up so early it's hard to be competitive in that?
He just hasn't gotten the great ones in St. Louis in this early recruiting period. It has not gone well, but I don't think he's sweating it because I think he knows the portal is the way to go.
Yeah, good update. I'm interested. That was interesting. So, like many people in their 50s, even though we wore braces earlier in life, the teeth kind of got a little crooked. John just got done with a bout of having Invisalign. He actually never did wear braces, but he had some problems that came up in his 50s, so he had a couple years of getting to wear braces in the form of Invisalign. Where were those when I was a teenager? I could show you some pictures that, braces were not, and my night brace were not my best look throughout the course of my life. But interesting article in National Geographic that humans actually used to have straighter teeth. Wouldn't you have thought of like our used to have when they look back at all these skeletons? Now? They are more crooked now, and they were trying to figure it out, and they think that the possible culprit is our diets. We traded raw, tough foods for softer, more processed one. The burden of chewing decreased. Our jaws have shrunk over time, but the teeth have not necessarily matched that minuscule shrinking over, we're talking centuries here. And so now a lot more people seem to have crooked teeth than our forebears, at least from according to...
I thought everything about us is better than it was 30 or 40, 50 years ago. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and in this case, I think we're talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago. But I thought that was interesting, too.
Well, it's probably a little bit like how dogs don't get cavities because they don't eat, like, the food that's bad for their teeth. We don't eat a lot of things that are good for our teeth.
Right.
Which probably doesn't help.
Yeah, I know. You heard it here first. Connor McCarthy says we should all start eating dog food. I think there's maybe some
there's
truth
no
to that.
sugar in dog food, so that if you're a dentist, you're probably recommending
Well, and
that.
the crunchy, our vet really likes dogs eating the crunchy stuff because he says it's much better for their teeth, to your point.
All right, a little business before we go to break?
Yes, a little business for sure from our friends at Miller Furniture. I was actually talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, and they went out and checked out the incredible patio furniture, found some of the most comfortable and beautiful patio furniture you could see over at the Fairview Heights store of Miller. And that's because Miller Furniture understands that we love both form and function when it comes to our furniture. In other words, we want it to look beautiful, but we sure want it to be comfortable, and then we want it to last a long time. They deliver that 1, 2, 3. They also make sure that 99% of what they sell is American made. Much of it Amish built, which means that it's just top of the line quality. But Amish built furniture does not mean a specific one style furniture that's very traditional necessarily. You can keep up with the latest furniture trends and even select so many components of the furniture you like at our friend, because our friends at Miller Furniture have such great relationships and are one of the top furniture selling businesses in the United States. How do I know that? They have been awarded by the National Furniture Industry Awards through the years, including one just last year. Miller Furniture, do some perusing online at MUELLERfurniture.com, or better yet, visit them at one of their locations, Belleville, which is the flagship location. Fairview Heights, as I mentioned, has the outdoor furniture and one of the largest mattress selections in the entire region, Lake St. Louis at the Meadows, and Ellisville off Manchester Road.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
More heat and humidity for Thursday, so the First Alert weather days continue. A low of 79, a high of 98. Heat index 105 to 110, and under mostly sunny skies for Thursday afternoon. And then Friday, only hope to cool down is a chance of storms. We have a 30% chance afternoon to evening. A high of 94, heat index to 103. Still intensely hot. If the storms are a little more widespread, could be a little cooler than we expect, but can't count on it. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Have you recently retired and lost your sense of purpose? It happens. How about an opportunity to reconnect with the community? You should consider a part-time or even a full-time position with the Rockwood School District. You see, Rockwood School District is actively looking to fill part-time and substitute positions. Bus drivers, cafeteria workers, groundskeepers, and more. They offer outstanding benefits, a positive and caring working environment, competitive pay, flexible hours as well as shifts, signing bonuses, and an opportunity to work with kids. And if you're hired full-time, you can enroll your kids in the Rockwood School District even if you don't live in the district. The application process is easy. No resumes required. Just go to rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs. Reconnect with the community and find a new purpose with the Rockwood School District. rsdmo.org/jobs.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. We are insanely busy right now. It's my peak selling and buying season. I need to buy as many pristine Corvettes, Cadillacs, Vipers, Raptors, and other sports cars and luxury cars that I can find. Do you have a unique, rare, classic, or collectible vehicle you want to sell? Maybe even a daily driver with super low miles and in excellent condition. If so, we want to talk. We are cash buyers for collector-grade vehicles, including motorcycles. We've got great deals on hard-to-find, auto-check certified vehicles, too. Hop on our site today to buy, sell, or trade.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Heidi Glaus, Josh Gilbert, and Bob Ramsey.
On the Thursday show, the Underground Railroad has history over in Alton. Plus, the International Institute is rebranding, and it's Thursday, so that's Big D Day. Aaron from HW Kia going to give away some money.
Heidi Glaus, Josh Gilbert, and Bob Ramsey.
Weekday afternoons at 3
On the Big 550.
Always current and always on.
KTRS.
And welcome back to the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. He's headed to the Cardinals Hall of Fame, but first he's going to chat with us. He's Al Hrabowski. And Al, the encouraging news is you told me you were playing golf. That means your body must be in better shape. You can play again, huh?
Not really. The golf was never my thing anyway, so, but I just want to torture myself.
Oh, that's great. Al, Jill Farmer here. So glad you're
Yeah,
joining
Jill.
us again. Super excited about your big honor coming up here really shortly. But first, I got to ask you about our Cardinals this season. Things were looking good for a while, not so much lately. What are your thoughts?
It just looks like our starting pitching is really struggling right now. And of course, they set the tone. And if you look at the most recent road trip, it just seemed like every day we was playing catch up, when you got behind early, and that's hard to do. You had a couple key guys that were banged up a little bit right before the break. But until you get the starting pitching squared away, you're gonna have problems.
Al, you've been a part of so many trade deadlines, and usually with our history of winning here, the Cardinals are adding at the deadline. How significant do you think it's going to be in terms of selling if you just had to bet a milkshake on it? I mean, could this be a massive wholesale for the Cardinals at the deadline?
Well, Frank, I think one of the problems is everybody's looking for the same thing. That's good news for the Cardinals. But I think a lot of the players, their value has decreased from the off season or from the beginning of the season when the pitchers were throwing better. And another factor is, McGreevy is now going to stay in the rotation, but who else down there at the minor leagues is ready to go into the rotation? Or even, if you get rid of as many as 3 relievers, you can replace them with arms, good arms, but are they ready for the major leagues?
All right, so your big day coming up Saturday, September 6th. I know you've been working on the speech, or I think you have been. Is June actively involved, and what kind of input and just what kind of pressure for you to nail this speech?
Oh, I'm looking forward to all future opening days, but I'm not looking forward to the speech. Whitey said, no pun intended, but he said, with my emotions, I would be better suited for short relief rather than starting. It's just something that I don't, as a short reliever, you can go out there and just, max out and go out there and do whatever you want to do. And as a starter, you're going through the order. Well, we used to think of going through the order 4 times. And today, rarely do you get a chance to do it twice. But it's just a situation where it's going to be a very emotional day for me. So I just hope I survive it. There's too many people you want to thank. So you feel like once you go down that road, you're going to leave some people out that you don't mean to. I've been working on it in my head. I've gotten a few things jotted down, but it's just a mess.
Well, you touched on it, but I'd like to hear a little more details because opening days will be different for you as a Hall of Famer, looking ahead to next April of 2026. So talk about that as a Cardinal fan, a St. Louis resident, and your incredible history with the club. What's it going to be like for you in the future when you are at opening day as a Hall of Famer?
Well, I've been in baseball since 1969 on the professional level, and it's just every day. The opening day is so special for any team, but nobody does it like the Cardinals. When I was playing, Stan would be in the stands, but Red was managing. Then you had Lou, Gibby, and Simmons were my teammates. So, we really didn't have anything more than the Clydesdales. And I thought the Clydesdales, that's still my favorite aspect of it. But I think it means a lot to me because there's a lot of these Hall of Famers. And like I mentioned, Gibby and Lou and Stan and Red, have all passed away. But, guys like Bob Forsch were teammates that have passed away. But I've been part of everybody else's career with the Cardinals as a broadcaster. So, I've developed a lot of friendships with them, and it's been a lot of fun to see how the fantasy camp has evolved and the relationships between the players of different eras, but more importantly, the relationships between the legends, that's what we call the alumni, and the fans, that come to the fantasy camp. And I just, what I do now, I just connect with a lot of fans, and trust me, it feeds my ego, and it just gives me that good feeling about how lucky I've been and how blessed I've been to be involved with Cardinal baseball for so many years.
We're visiting with the Mad Hungarian, Al Hrabowski. He'll go in Saturday, September 6th with Edgar Renteria and the memory of the late, great Walt Jocketty. I think I remember, I guess Chip Carey will probably tell the audience of all of your achievements, and then somebody is there to put the red jacket on for you. I don't know, but I'm guessing it's going to be your catcher, Ted Simmons.
Yeah, and my relationship with Teddy, he was the best. Some people criticize Teddy for his defense, but nobody could criticize his offense. He was as pure a hitter as there was in the National League in the 70s. Just a great RBI guy, and he knew what I needed to know, what I needed. And it was usually a kick in the seat of the pants or something that way. But if I was on that mound, I always wanted Ted Simmons catching for me because, one, he knew how to motivate me, and two, he was going to win the game for me with his bat.
And sometimes your sweet personality would provoke fights and brawls on the mound, and Ted would have to be the one involved protecting you or helping you out. Does he bring that up to you much?
Sometimes we bring it up. Sometimes we see some video and, kind of make us laugh. Like the one fight. Oh, I remember we'd get in those fights and nobody got kicked out of the game. But the one fight against the Cubs and Madlock, where I threw one pitch with no batter in the batter's box and the next pitch with two batters in the batter's box and a manager standing on home plate. And I couldn't understand how that started a fight. But, Ted threw a punch. And after the fight, we're sitting there and I said, Ted, what did Madlock say to you that made you throw the punch? He goes, I don't know, man. There's just too many bodies around me. So, it just, we can laugh about things. And the one thing that I think, when we used to have the old timers games, guys that I knew that I got under their skin and didn't like what I did was the first guys that came up to me and said, hey, you're going to put on a show or something. It wasn't an act when I was playing, but when we got into the old timers games, then it became somewhat of an act. And I never embarrassed somebody. If I got you out, I just went on to the next guy. I didn't do any of this yelling and screaming or anything, showing a hitter up, because I just had too much respect for everybody. And I just, I had another hitter or two to get out. So you just keep on going.
Well, I wanted to ask you a quick question about something outside of Cardinals baseball that Frank reported on a little bit earlier in the show. A New Jersey Little Leaguer was suspended for doing a bat flip. His name's Marco Rocco, and Frank says the reason he likes him isn't just because he has such a great name, but, got to cut these kids a little bit of slack for following what the big leaguers do. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I totally agree. And, I think that gets a little excessive. Like you said, the hitters allow the hitters to do it to them. So why wouldn't a little leaguer copy that? I can understand them trying to curtail it, but I don't think a kid should be suspended. It should have been talked to and just said, hey, we'd like to not do that.
Al, before we let you go, just two more quick ones. One, who have you heard from? I know you've heard from hundreds since the announcement was made you're going into the Cardinal Hall of Fame. But give me one, either text or a message or a phone call. Wow, I can't believe he's calling me to congratulate me. Can you? I know they all meant a lot to you, but anything jump out at you?
One was Tony La Russa.
Wow.
Because Tony and I had a couple run-ins. He didn't like what I did behind the mound, and I was one of his 5 regrets in life. In 1996, he said, "You're one of my 5 regrets in life," and I don't know how many men have told you that, Frank, but it kind of stopped me in my tracks. And he said, "You remember in 1979 when he was a first base coach for the White Sox?" I said, "Yeah, and he goes, "Well, you did your thing and you knocked down Lamar Johnson. My regret is I didn't throw a punch at you." And I said, "Well, Tony, if you feel that strong about it, this was 96 and what incident happened in 79. I said, you still could take the chance if you want to." But, we talked it out, and he goes, "But, what would you have done?" And I'm going, "What are the other 4?" But he sits there and he said, "I probably wouldn't have my job today if I would have done it. But what you have done?" And I just kind of laughed. But, Tony, you know how intense he was as a manager, and sometimes you would say something that you thought was a correct story, or you were laying something, and there were 2 or 3 times that he'd be calling me up and blasting me on the phone and everything. So it meant an awful lot when he said, "Okay, you're welcome to the club."
That's awesome. And then a final thought about the love of your life, June, the greatest interior decorator maybe of all time. But God, what has she meant to you in this journey?
Well, she meant everything. I met her after my playing days. We dated for a few weeks, and she finally found out who I was, and her reaction was, "You were that guy?" So that's why we're best friends. And she really has done an awful lot. Of course, Frank's asking this question because my wife told him recently that he remembers when his mom was pregnant with little Frankie. They were neighbors at one time, but June's the best. She keeps me straight. She's, I don't know where I'd be without her, and I know where I'm in a much better place with her. I just thank her for what she's done for me.
Al, you're the best. Congratulations. We'll see you soon.
Okay. All right, Frank, Jill, have a good day.
All right. That's Al Hrabowski. Actually, my mom and dad are Jill's godparents. Yeah.
Wow. June's?
June's, excuse me.
Yeah, and you had so many brushes with greatness in your childhood. Earlier in the week, I hope you guys were listening when we had a great interview with Bob Gale, one of the most successful Hollywood screenwriters ever out of U City. He was Frank's day camp counselor when he was a little kid. Said that Frank was out of control. He remembered him over all the other kids he ever was a day camp counselor to because of his exceptional behavior, and we don't mean exceptional in the positive end. And now you have known the Hrabowskis and had an integral part of their life since the beginning as well.
I was an S disturber at a very young age.
Wow, that's great. And from the 314 on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, I've had the opportunity to meet Al. He is truly genuine and couldn't be a nicer guy. And boy, you do hear that from almost anybody who ever runs into him because of his, shall we call
exterior
it, fiery
facade.
Personality people remember as a player, and then just enthusiasm as an announcer. He's just so down to earth when you meet him in person, I've heard.
I don't think anybody going in, I can't say this definitively, but I don't think anybody going into the Cardinal Hall of Fame where it's ever going to mean more to that person than it's going to mean to Al Saturday, September 6th.
And you were on the decision committee for the Cardinals Hall of Fame, and so I remember you coming in on the day. You had to leave a little early, I believe, the day that they did the voting. And you were kind of a nervous wreck because you felt pretty strongly that this was the right thing for the Cardinals to do, given the impact that he's had on the ball.
Yeah, and the whole committee was with us, so it was long past due. And I tell you, there's no way he gets through this speech without crying. I mean, it's going to be powerful. No doubt
and good for him.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to get through it. He's earned that right when it's that meaningful, and it's been such a big part of his life. It's truly a great moment in his life, and I hope we all get to see you tell the story of it because nobody will do it better. Capital Advisory Group, Jeff Zufall, senior tax strategist and wealth advisor. What does that mean? He's really good at managing your money, even through ups and downs in the stock market, and he's really, really good at making sure that you don't pay too much when it comes to your taxes. And that's somewhat unique when it comes to wealth advising. People who are so on top of their game when it comes to understanding taxes and the ever-changing tax laws, and so good at, for so long, being able to help people grow their wealth, grow their nest eggs, and live comfortably in retirement. And Jeff not only is very good at that for his clients, he loves letting other people know about it too. He took the time to write a best-selling book on the subject called Keep What's Yours. He also does a great show here on KTRS, the Talk of St. Louis, every single weekend with Josh Gilbert, also called Keep What's Yours. Reach out today and set up your appointment with Jeff so you have the best of the best on your team when it comes to your money. 636-394-5524. CapitalAdvisoryGRP.com.
A message from the master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newsletter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment. A moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen. A moment to find your dream, or build one. A moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
It's Julie Buck here for AAA Travel. Let's talk about their featured vacations. Exclusive AAA Travel curated trips that offer unique travel opportunities, value, experiences that are not usually available off the shelf with other travel agencies or providers. One of the many featured vacation experiences offer a unique side of Italy on a guided tour featuring the treasures of Rome and stunning beauty of the Amalfi Coast. One-of-a-kind experiences with amazing savings. You're going to love this. For more, go to AAA.com/featured vacation.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bonaire.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving turn.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel-and-eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge and look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bonaire.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
Bob Ramsey for AAA Home Services, a local, family-owned and family-run American Standard heating and air conditioning platinum dealer that's been keeping St. Louis comfortable and safe for 55 years. They service all brands, so schedule them to service your AC before it gets too hot. And if you need a new system, they'll give you a fair and honest estimate on American Standard, voted #1 by Consumer Reports. You'll get the best pricing and tax credits of 2025. Call AAA at 636-397-3200, online at AAASTL.com. Call AAA. We're on our way.
Great first hour of the Frank and Jill show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, courtesy of Frank's friend Al Roboski, coming in, telling some great stories and being just open and candid and vulnerable about the fact that he's going to be unabashedly emotional about one of the great milestones of his life when he goes into the Hall of Fame in September. It's just really cool to hear somebody be that way.
Yeah, you know, it's just such a shame that Walt Jocketty's not going to be there, you know. He was so deserving. He should have been put in there. But he's been literally in the hospital. He was in the hospital, I think, for 14 or 15 months. Crazy. And then the Baseball Hall of Fame, Dave Parker, he gets in, and now they're going to enshrine his memory because he passed away a couple of months ago. It's just such a shame that they pass away and they can't enjoy what could be the crowning moment of their lives.
Tony LaRussa's fundraiser here in St. Louis, big success. I think that was last Wednesday night. That he told us on the show it was really important to him that there was a real commitment toward a meaningful remembrance of Walt Jocketty as part of that event. Did you get? I know you were trying to work and do all kinds of things that night. Did you get to hear any of the?
I had gone by the time they got to the celebration of Walt's life, but yeah. That was really, he wanted to honor Jack Buck, Darryl Kyle, and Walt Jocketty. So.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of Cardinals fans appreciated being able to make that commitment. What's if you had to name one or two of your best Walt Jocketty memories, what would they be?
Well, I will say this, is I can remember being at my desk very vividly, and, you know, at 6:30 after the news, him calling me saying, I think you're wrong on this one, or you may be right on this one. And then going back and forth and literally telling me what they're thinking about. Yeah, we could maybe pick up this guy. We could maybe trade for this guy. I don't like him. And really opening up. Now you get none of that.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't get any. I mean, John Mosaic likes a good guy, but there's only so much he will tell you. But in the old days, they would open up.
Yeah, my husband John was at some kind of a lawyer event a couple of years ago at the stadium, and a Mosaic came down and talked to him, and he actually was impressed at how candid he was about players and not just totally putting a candy coating on everything. So I was going to say, in certain context, I think he's probably somewhat more open than people would expect.
Absolutely, yes. But on the air, but he's not as open as Walt was. But yeah, and you just think he's in the sunset of his Cardinal career. He'll be gone basically September 30th, as soon as the season ends. And I'm sure the successor, the guy, Chaim Bloom, he's right there with him on all these important decisions in the next 5
Do you think Mosaic stays around St. Louis?
Oh, yes. Beautiful home in Ladue. I think he wants to stay in baseball because his son wants to get into baseball. And if you're in it, it's not like if he were to leave, the name wouldn't help. But if you're still in it somewhat, you'll be able to help your son along the way.
Oh, that's a great point. Well, sometimes when we talk about somebody being the oldest, we're not always saying the most positive. But when it comes to Premier Heating and Cooling, the fact that they are the oldest and most experienced American Standard customer care dealer in St. Louis matters, and that's because they have been delivering excellent customer service. That's why they have such a great record at the Better Business Bureau for decades, and they're just very good at it. Experience is something you really want in your HVAC company, whether you use them for commercial HVAC because you've discovered that your building is just not able to keep both your customers and your workers comfortable at the same time, or in your home. This incredible stress that's being put on all of our air conditioning units is showing there's some weakness in the system. I highly recommend that you reach out to our friends at Premier Heating and Cooling to take care of your heating and cooling issues. Of course, only cooling this time of year. 636-916-1122. PremierHeatingCooling.net. We have a lot more coming up in the show. A great second hour, including a new excellent restaurant opening up right in our backyard at Westport. Don't go away. We're back after the news.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Something new is hidden inside City Museum, a twisting maze of metal and myth. Walls made of syrup tanks and Twinkie pans, glass from an old library, secrets behind every turn, and deep inside, a 2-story slide unlike anything before. The all-new 4th floor expansion, Labyrinth, is now open. You have to lose yourself to find your path. Play all summer with a summer play pass, only $34.99 at citymuseum.org.
If it's soccer in St. Louis, it's talked about on the soccer voice in St. Louis.
The Big 550
KTRS
St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A meeting is taking place today between Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in Tallahassee, Florida. The Trump administration facing increasing pressure to release the full files in the Jeffrey Epstein case. ABC's Alex Mallon says it's unclear what this conversation with Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker, will bring.
The problem is that, according to the Justice Department's previous filings and statements made in court, this is a person who is not to be trusted. They have detailed a pattern of lies by Maxwell, and obviously she was convicted of engaging in some of the heinous acts that Epstein was charged for. So I think, there's big questions over whether she says anything in this meeting that can be trusted.
A House panel has also issued a subpoena for Maxwell to be deposed on August 11th. Israeli troops are pushing further into central Gaza, fighting and chaos near food distribution sites, now creating a much more dire situation for civilians. Aid groups warning the hunger situation is getting worse for Palestinians. ABC's James Longman has more.
Over 100 aid groups are warning of mass starvation as the food shortage becomes increasingly dire. The World Health Organization says there are now nearly 30,000 children under 5 who are malnourished. ABC News has filmed inside the children's ward of a hospital in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. Many of these children are so weak they struggle to move.
A plane crash in a remote area in eastern Russia today, claiming the lives of dozens. ABC's Maggie Rulli has more on efforts.
Search and rescue teams are up against a lot of steep challenges to even access the site of this plane crash. Right now, the governor of the region did clarify that it was 48 people on board that aircraft, some of them children. He also said there are no survivors, and there'll be 3 days of mourning.
The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits for the first time fell for the 6th straight week. You're listening to ABC News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
"91 degrees at 11:03 with KTRS News. I'm Steve Potter. The National Weather Service has issued an extreme heat warning in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. Expect heat index values today over 100. This week's hot weather has had an impact on a number of outdoor events, including the Whitaker Music Festival's free Wednesday evening concerts at the Missouri Botanical Garden. Last night's performance by the Telestar Rock Group was canceled. The final concert of the season will be next week, and weather permitting, will feature Carla Harris Jazz Quintet. The gates will open next Wednesday evening at 5, with the music beginning at 7. Despite the heat, attendance at the St. Charles County Fair at Rotary Park doesn't seem to have suffered. Cooling tents have been set up on the grounds for the public, and to ensure the livestock competing in the fair's judging events won't become overheated, staff members have packed ice bags for the chickens to sit on, made frozen water bottles to keep the rabbits cool, and provided fans for cattle. Today is the final day for those impacted by the May 16th tornado to seek assistance from 2 FEMA disaster recovery centers in St. Louis County.
The FEMA centers at the St. Louis County Library Mid-County branch in Clayton and the Prairie Commons branch in Hazelwood will close permanently after today. The Clayton Center will transition into a small business administration disaster loan outreach center starting tomorrow. 3 disaster recovery centers in St. Louis City will remain open following the closures of the St. Louis County locations. Another important date to remember, August 11th. That's the last day victims of the May 16th tornado must file for FEMA assistance. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
It will soon be back to school time. And as we hear in this report, that means it's time to stock up on school supplies.
Missouri's back-to-school sales tax holiday will be held the first weekend of August. That's when Missouri shoppers will not be charged state or local sales tax on qualifying items. Qualifying items include clothing under $100, personal computers under $1,500, and traditional school supplies such as notebooks, art supplies, backpacks, flash drives, and musical instruments. What does not qualify includes watches, furniture, sports equipment, or cell phones. The Missouri sales tax holiday starts at midnight Friday, August 1st, and ends at midnight Sunday night, August 3rd. Illinois will not have a sales tax holiday this year. Sobe Bay, KTRS News.
Chalmette Vineyards and Winery in St. Genevieve is being sold to a Catholic youth ministry organization. Owners Hank and Jackie Johnson have announced they're selling their property to Life Teen International, which plans to turn the estate into a summer camp for kids. The deal is expected to close on August 15th. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. You can place your order anytime at WKF.com. In the markets, the Dow down 160 points at 44,849, NASDAQ up 61 at 21,081, and the S&P 500 up 16 at 6,375. In sports, the Cardinals have moved Michael McGreevy permanently into the big league rotation. To make room for McGreevy, the Birds designated Eric Fetty for assignment. And tonight the Cards take on the Padres at home. An extreme heat warning remains in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. Look for a high today of 97. Partly cloudy tonight and overnight low around 78. Then a 20% chance for some rain tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 96. Coming up on 7 minutes past 11 o'clock, sunshine, 91 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
And now,
Feed me Seymour.
I like to eat.
it's time for the Kuna Food Service Weekly Special.
Yum, 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 yum.
Right here on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
All right, the restaurant this week is Basso's. They're the new restaurant in Westport. Joining us is a guy who runs all of the restaurants for HLM, Blake Pastoret. Blake, Blaze, good to be with you. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. First of all, I want to get a thought from you about working with the O'Loughlin's, who I'm just like amazed at everything they do. What makes them tick? Why are they so successful at everything they do, Blaze?
You know, I really think Bob has the city of St. Louis and the outside county invested. That is his priority. So he's really put a lot into Union Station and bringing people to downtown and downtown west with the new attractions coming up that we're adding into the south lot of Union Station, the wave swinger, roller coaster, all that stuff. He just wants to invest into areas to bring them back to life. So downtown Westport, that's all.
Is
That's
he
all.
a high energy, like a positive thinking coach, or how would you describe that? Just the day-to-day stuff.
He is good energy, and he is well thought out on all his business plans. And then that's where I come in to execute and make the operation happen.
So a lot of us have been fans of, I guess I'll call it the original Basso over in the Cheshire.
Yeah.
Such a great vibe. The wood-burning stove, impeccable appetizers. One of my favorite burgers in St. Louis, with the wood-fired with all the incredible stuff on it.
Yeah.
So what is, for people who've been to that one, what is a little bit different and what is the same at the new location here in Westport?
Well, the same menu. So it's the same staple menu. We have a decent kitchen line, you know, the back kitchen line where everybody's cooking. We have everything as far as the pizza oven, wood-burning pizza oven there, wood-burning grill. But when we designed this, we had more room.
Mm-hmm.
We almost doubled the kitchen. The prep area in the back, the ability to execute more items. The grill is 2 times bigger, so we have a swordfish, a sea bass, and things just we can't grill and do and execute at Cheshire. So we just have a little bit larger menu, and we run. I have a great chef there. He's done a really good job, and super happy to have him. He actually worked for us in the past, came back, linked up with him, and he's done a great job doing specials that are absolutely amazing.
So, Blaze, how did you come up with the idea to do a honey glaze on a pizza? I'm not saying you're the first to ever do it. It's the first I've ever remembered in St. Louis. Were you like drinking a couple of beers one night? Were you high? And hey, let's put a little honey on the pizza. I mean, how'd you come up with that?
Are you talking about the hot honey on the pepperoni
Yes.
pizza? I'll be honest with you. I am more or less probably just following what people want. So I think during COVID we were doing pizzas and just stuff out of Cheshire to go. And I think that's where we did the hot honey on there, and people love it. I actually don't get it with hot honey. It's not my jam.
Oh, it's good.
You don't
I
like to
hot
mix
honey,
your sweet.
but I do. It's just not on that.
Okay.
If I want a pepperoni pizza, I'm just doing it straight.
I'm on
up.
team Frank on that. It is really, really good.
People love it.
And one of the only, downsides of Basso at the Cheshire has been it's just so packed because so many people love it so much. You have a little more space out here in Westport and lunch. That's new as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're doing lunch service. We are closed Sunday and Mondays, but lunch service Tuesday through Saturday, and we don't close in the afternoon. It's just straight through. You can come in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but we have great paninis and lunch specials. For $19, you can get one of our half pastas or a whole pizza and a half salad, a soup. We're doing a really good everything's made from scratch. Italian wedding soup. It's been on that. It's been great. Lunch has been really good. And the patio, well, nobody wants to sit on the patio right now, but September, October, when those shoulder months come, people love the patio. The patio has been great. And you're looking out on the plaza, totally different vibe than the Cheshire, but also still a relation. We didn't lose that DNA of what it looks like and the feel and the smell of the wood fire. That is us, and I think we did a pretty good job with putting it into a new lit space, more vibrant colors, warmer wood. But you still know you are at Basso if you've been to Cheshire.
All right, let's talk pastas. Everybody's starting to get hungry. It's 11:11.
Says Frank often, by the way.
Yeah.
Cacio e pepe. You have the lemon ricotta ravioli.
Yeah.
You have the ricotta gnocchi. If you're going to have one last pasta dish at Basso's in Westport, you would go with what? You only can choose one.
The lemon ricotta ravioli is probably with pancetta, we render it down, and it's very crispy with some peas and a lemon butter sauce, basically like a beurre blanc, if you will, and that is a great seller. The Fra Diavola bucatini, that is the number one seller out here, which is funny because we sell it fine at Cheshire, but it is not our number one seller. Our cacio e pepe is our actually number one seller, the most simplistic dish, but also the hardest one to get right. Consistency is big, and consistency between the two menus. I want to make sure that guests go to either place, they're getting the same thing.
And you've kept your pastas pretty reasonable. They're all around $20 or just $22. That's good stuff.
We try to make it approachable. We would like people to come in, feel like that's a comfortable space, whether you're dressing up or it's a casual dinner, and they can come maybe even twice a week. Like it's not going to break the bank. And all the wines are all Italian, but very approachable. And I've done the same thing with them. The cocktails and the wine. You can get a bottle of wine, $42, really good. Drink it on the patio.
Yeah, that is good to know, because I know people are certainly keep an eye on their wallets when it comes to going out to eat these days, for sure. If you're just joining us, Blaise Pastorette is in charge of all the food for LHM, of course, one of the most prolific developers and hospitality management places in our city, behind so many great restaurants and bars, including things like Westport 360, the Soda Fountain, the incredible bar and area at Union Station, and of course the Pitch downtown as well. And how are things? I mean, now you have a 360 here at Westport, you've got 360 downtown. How is the business that you guys have expanded so much in the last 5 years going in all the different properties?
It's great. It's really great. And just opening Basso here on the plaza, we have seen a new group of people, even a different group that comes to the Cheshire location. And it also gives us a little bit of resurgence as far as going up to 360 on the Gold Tower. And that here at Westport, 360 is almost 3 times as big as downtown. And it's got a covered patio, nice breeze through it, really comfortable. That's been great. And it's a beautiful spot.
What about the phenomenon Westport Social, like on a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 to midnight? How many people would go in there roughly?
Yes. It depends. We could see anywhere from 1,500 people to 3,000 people. There's a big crowd. We'll get a lot of teams, so it's 21 and up after 4 p.m. there. But we do see a lot of teams that might be staying at the hotels next door. We'll see that during the day. We'll get a great lunch crowd, and then we do all our music for free. So there's no cover charge. There's no you don't have to do anything to admit in. So
What can
everything
you do
we do
athletically there?
Friday.
You can shoot free throws.
Yeah, there's like a pop-a-shot situation, free throws. You can do shuffleboard. You can do darts, ping pong.
So serious
bocce
ping pong
ball.
players end up going
we
there.
have
It's fun to watch.
karaoke in the mezzanine on both sides. You can rent out. We have everything to challenge people. Nobody wants to go to a corporate event and talk to their coworkers. You know,
Right. Yeah.
You want to go and play and challenge them, and then talk junk later.
A couple of questions from the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. People want to know, where are you in Westport?
So it's a little hard. It's not. I'm not saying it's hard to get to. It's different. So you can park in either lot. There's a lot on the west side and the east side of Westport. You can park there and walk up. Tons of people do that right by the Gold Tower. That's what most people do. But a lot of people don't know. I have signs all around. You can actually go into Garage A, which is right next to the Sheridan Chalet and Soda Fountain Express. Go right underneath there. You have a nice garage, whether it's raining, snowing, super hot like it is now, and park right underneath Basso. And it's all free. Shoot the elevator up.
And then one other quick follow-up from somebody who's asking, you mentioned something about a roller coaster downtown. Say more.
Yeah. Late August, we have new attractions coming to Union Station. Super excited about that. That gives us a really cool talking point. We did a lot of investment with a wave swinger. It's smaller things you see like Six Flags, and a roller coaster, and Flying Louie, which is like the big ship that goes almost vertical, swings back and
So
forth.
it's like a carnival every day.
Absolutely, it's really, really cool rides, and we're super pumped for that. And we have a few other additional things going with that.
I can't understand how one person could be in charge of 14 restaurants. I'm wondering, do you have on your phone each night what each business did, or how do you keep the numbers, daily?
We see the numbers every morning. I look at those. That's part of my job, but I couldn't do my job if I didn't have a great team. I have a lot of great general managers that oversee all these venues and restaurants and bars, and they've been with us for a long time, and they do extraordinary. And then turn to manage their staff well, and it is all filters down. But if you don't have a good work environment, then it's hard in the first place. So I think we've done a good job with that.
Good stuff, sir. An honor to have you in. We encourage everybody to give it a shot. Basso's in Westport, a great new Italian restaurant, which is open for lunch, which is a great thing for us here at the big 550 KTRS. Blaise Pastorette from HLM.
LHM, yes, very.
LHM.
I know. I get them confused too. Lodging, Hospitality Management, great company here in St. Louis. We just had Bob O'Loughlin on recently, and excited about all they're doing from our city. Lots more coming up right after this.
The Stages St. Louis season continues. Austin Pride, a new take on Jane Austen's classic Pride and Prejudice. Single tickets on sale now. Visit stagesstlewis.org. In downtown Kirkwood, stagesstlewis.org.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
You know, over the years, Lordo's has become part of the family for many, many St. Louis families. For 80 years, they've been helping St. Louis families with all of the jewelry needs, whether it's the diamond ring, a diamond ring, maybe something for St. Patrick's Day, something for an anniversary, Valentine's Day. Throughout the years and throughout the calendar, it's Lordo's as your go-to. Whether it's men or women, you want to repurpose something or buy something new, Lordo's Diamonds in the heart of Ladue on Clayton Road. You see, it's a family business. The family's been running it for years, and they learned it from their father, who learned it from their father. And so that family jeweler, it's where generations of St. Louisans go. Grandparents have gone there. Your grandkids will go there. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, across the street from a Norman Rockwell-esque firehouse, is Lordo's Diamonds. Go in, make a friend, and make them your family jeweler, because you can thank me later. 314-432-8008 or online, lordosdiamonds.com.
Looking for a great local restaurant recommendation?
Missy Mo.
Tune in to the Kuno Food Service weekly special during the Frank and Jill Show, Thursdays at 11. Hear from the best of the best restaurant owners in town. Only on the Frank and Jill Show, Thursdays at 11. Presented by Kuno Food Service, right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
Carney,
Buck.
More slice of life coming your way on the next Carney Show. We'll also chat sports with our sports director, Brendan Weesey. We'll see you here on the Big 550 right at noon.
John Carney, Julie Buck, weekdays at noon on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
Can you hear it? That's the sound of the beginning of the countdown to Mizzou football.
It's free scooped up by Missouri. Zion Young at the 15, to the 10, to the house, to the house, to the house with 30 seconds.
Get geared up, St. Louis, as the Big 550, the home of Mizzou football, brings you all the action and everything Mizzou. Yeah! Don't miss any of the action. We are the Big 550 KTRS. Hear us roar. Starting Thursday, August 28th. Powered by Royal Banks of Missouri.
Of course, that is the theme song of Hulk Hogan, born Terry Bollea. He passed away at his home in Clearwater, Florida today from cardiac arrest at the age of 71. He is a Hall of Fame wrestler. My contention is that his interviews with Mean Gene Okerlund were some of the best bits in wrestling history. He was a speaker, a guest speaker at the Republican National Convention. He's been in movies, not many of them very good, but what a character. I once got him into KFNS for 2 hours, did this really good interview, and then he said to me, because we were going down to TV afterwards, and he said, "Hey, can you pick me up some Red Bulls before we do the TV?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Do you need a couple?" He goes, "No, make it a 6-pack."
Oh, boy.
And he had at least 4 before we did the TV. He could not have been nicer. And I always thought, too, I mean, it's a shame he dies at such a young age, like 71, that who could have lived like a more unhealthy life if you think of the orthopedic nightmare he became because of wrestling, all the sun tanning and probably steroids. It's amazing he lived this long, but I enjoyed being around him, and he will be missed by the wrestling community.
Yes, he had a neck procedure, just exactly what you were talking about, just a couple of months ago in May. Last month, he underwent a pretty serious heart procedure, according to those close in his life. And he had 2 children, Brooke and Nick, he leaves behind. And then he, of course, had some pretty famous relationships, wives as well through the years, because he was a character that was larger in life. And who was it that you said he had such great funny rapport with?
Unbelievable television with Mean Gene Okerlund, the greatest wrestling broadcaster of all time. Let's hear a little bit of the Hulkster with Mean Gene. He had a presence, and he became particularly famous and more mainstream by being in the movie Rocky III, where he played Thunder Lips. And I remember interviewing, Nature Boy Ric Flair about 2 months ago, and he said that clip in that movie really set him apart from all wrestlers. And I'll say this, and if I had to write down right now the 10 greatest sporting events I've ever attended in person, it was Hulk Hogan at Freedom Hall with 20,000 and the Iron Sheik. And I sat there front row. I asked Monique if she wanted to go. She said no.
I'm busy that night. Sorry, honey.
I never enjoyed myself any more than watching that spectacle.
Really? Oh, that is, if I said something like that, you'd go, yes, Jill, but you only went to 11 sporting events total in your life, so the top 10 isn't impressive. But for you to name that in your top 10, that is extremely impactful. That is a surprise. That's very cool to hear. So remember last week, 2 weeks ago, I think we were talking a little bit about our friends Fleetwood Mac, a big song in both, a big group in both of our eras of growing up, and particularly you had a sweet spot for Miss Stevie Nicks. Not only her musical ability, but maybe reported a teenage crush during those years. And the FBI agent, I guess, in my computer or phone here heard us saying that. And I got to see a clip of something I hadn't seen before, which is a performance that she did with none other than One Direction's Harry Styles at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction 6 years ago. And I think it's a really killer rendition of Stop Dragging My Heart Around. We talked yesterday about, the Hall of Fame induction, and when many consider one of the greatest guitar performances of all time, Prince playing When My Guitar Gently Weeps, that getting these great musicians together and play with people they don't normally play with, and some of these makes some really great music, and I thought that was a really fun version of a song we all know and love well.
You're right. It's just so cool when you get like two of them together or three of them together. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and I think the multi-generational aspect of it is interesting as well. People that certainly weren't at their apex at the same time, to hear their musical talents blend in that way, it's very, very cool for sure. So I would imagine Hulk Hogan was he in the era where he would have done wrestling at the Chase, or was that after him? Was he after that era?
I would think that he would have been, he was definitely after it, but I would think that he had done something really early in his career, because every great wrestler, Nature Boy Ric Flair, he's a little bit older than Hulk. He definitely wrestled here, so I'm not 100% certain, but I remember Bob Costas and Dan Dierdorf did one, broadcasted on KMOX, a Hulk Hogan event at the arena, and Dierdorf, and it was Ann Keith. Is it Ann Keith or Keefe? Keefe. She was a part of it, and the three of them were picked up in a limousine. They wore tuxes. They broadcasted the event. I remember afterwards, Costas always tells a story, is they went into White Castle. He goes, can imagine the people of White Castle, they see myself and Dan Dierdorf and Ann Keefe walking in at about midnight after the big event.
That's great. From the 314, Hulk Hogan was baptized last year, spoke of his faith recently.
Great.
Somebody else said they saw some video of him in the last few years, and unfortunately his body had really given out thanks to all of that abuse that it took for all those years. Really, when you look at the crazy stunts they do of falling on their head and back and neck, out of the ring onto the hard concrete floors, that's got to take a toll, I would think.
Yeah. The big thing, too, Joe, is that the amount of events that they would do in the course of a year. Nature Boy Ric Flair said that he didn't have days off. That he'd literally wrestle like 350 days a year, and sometimes in different countries.
Yeah, and there's, there was that great movie last year that Zac Efron starred in about
the Von Erich family.
The Von Erich family that I thought was really, really well done. And there was a lot of conversation from people saying, it's such an abusive sport, the number of people with CTEs and all of the negative things that come from that, and just the abuse on their body. But I think you know what you're signing up for, I guess. So there's probably not going to be anything changing in it. If you love professional wrestling, the people that do it, know that's what they're getting into, I guess.
In fact, Matt Dorsey just sent a picture from that night that KMOX broadcast, and my dad worked there at the time. He says there's a picture of Hulk Hogan with the kids. Boy, he was really big back then. I got to tell you something, too. You know how they say they talk about people shrinking as they get older?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they used to list him at like 6'5" or 6. When I had him on radio, he was 6'2". I mean, he was not as tall. Or maybe it's because all the back surgeries. I'm sure that affects it.
They actually listed him at 6'7".
Yeah,
Frank,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
There's also one other bit of false reporting about him. He claims that he was the one who got the call about the George Foreman grill and did not pick up the phone, and then they went right to Foreman. But the lawyer who represented both Hogan and Foreman at the time also denied Hogan's story, stating that Hogan's recollection of the events was inaccurate. The lawyer even suggested other celebrities like Pamela Anderson or Chuck Norris may have been considered, but not Hulk Hogan. And, of course, George Foreman made hundreds of millions of dollars out of it.
And from our crack research team, as John Carney likes to call them, our incredible listeners on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126, Hulk Hogan never wrestled on Wrestling at the Chase. However, he did main event, the old Checker Dome and Kiel Center.
Okay.
And this person said they were regular at the NWA Wrestling Promotions in St. Louis. So thank you for that insight on that as well. You know, it's hard to say whether he ever was 6'7", because, of course, anybody who's publicly reporting their height often tends to exaggerate it a bit. Quick funny story about that. When my daughters are both pretty tall, and when one of them was in high school and dating somebody, she happened to be taller than that young man, and it was no big deal. Somebody commented on it, and she said, "Actually, no, I thought I was too, but I'm not." And he showed me his driver's license, and he's actually exactly the same height as me. And I laughed and said, "Well, honey, that doesn't mean he actually is the same height just because it says on his driver's license." She goes, "They would never let you lie about your height on the driver's license." I'm like, "Yeah, and they'd never let me lie about my weight on the height of my driver's license." Easy. So
what do you think that men lie most about? Their feelings, their height, their sexual performance, their fantasies?
I don't know. Do I want to hang out with guys that are bragging about any of those things? No, I do not think I do.
What do you you're a therapist. Come on.
I'm not a therapist. I never played one on TV, but I am a coach. I would say.
What do you think men lie most about?
I would say and I've heard from other people is people will exaggerate about like their past days as an athlete, if they were a high school athlete or something, but that wasn't on your list.
No, it's just height. Height's the answer.
Sexual performance.
Well,
is that what the internet says?
I mean, every male thinks they're the greatest lover of all time.
I think every man under 6 feet tall lies about how tall he is.
Yeah.
They add an inch or two of height.
Yeah. And speaking of which, you're tall.
Yeah, I'm about 6'2.5".
He body slammed Andre the Giant. That was the most famous at WrestleMania. In fact, I wouldn't do it justice on radio, but that was a huge moment. Randy Macho Man Savage was part of the Cardinals. Oh, we don't care. That was.
We do care, but it's not related to Hulk Hogan. But yes, that's
that moment at WrestleMania, that was unbelievable. In fact, the documentary on Hulk Hogan was it on McMahon or was it on Hulk Hogan?
There was a big one on McMahon a couple of years ago.
But was there a separate one on Hogan? I don't even know.
Well, in just a little while, we're going to be talking to our favorite expert on the weight loss drugs, Dr. Joe Molesky. And I've heard more than one person who's had luck losing weight on these drugs joke that they're very grateful that they finally actually weigh the weight that's on their driver's license, which I think a lot of people can relate to. Well, somebody who is always completely honest with you and nothing but honest and genuine and going to give you the straight info when it comes to your house, or our friends at Woods Basement Systems, because of course they have so many years of experience, and unfortunately they have seen way too many shady companies in the foundation repair or waterproofing business come and go through the years. And that's because it's pretty prolific in St. Louis. There's a lot of people, a lot of us that have had water in our basement. If you live in your home long enough in St. Louis, whether it's a new build or an old build, at some point, often it's something that we all deal with. And that, unfortunately, has attracted some less than stellar companies into the business. But fortunately, not all of them have remained. Most of them haven't. And Woods Basement Systems has, because they deliver when when it comes to customer service. They deliver when it comes to keeping on top of the latest technology that delivers the best results for you in the least invasive way. And they are just so good at really caring about getting your house back to its full value and operating in the way that you and your family can live there and thrive for decades to come. Reach out to them today, 618-708-4055 or woodsbasementsystems.com, and tell them that we sent you.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
More heat and humidity for Thursday, so the First Alert weather days continue. A low of 79, a high of 98. Heat index 105 to 110 and under mostly sunny skies for Thursday afternoon. And then Friday, only hope to cool down is a chance of storms. We have a 30% chance afternoon to evening. A high of 94, heat index to 103. Still intensely hot. If the storms are a little more widespread, could be a little cooler than we expect, but can't count on it. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Electricity is very important because if you don't have electricity, you're sitting in the dark in more ways than one. And when the lights go out for one last time, maybe, just maybe, you want a whole home generator. Well, that's where Michael Baldy comes in, because Michael Baldy can do that. He's putting in a whole home generator for a friend of mine on the hill. Whether you live on the hill or a brand new home, at some point you're going to need some electrical help, and that's where Michael Baldy comes in. He's been an electrician since 1996, and he has a full team of electricians who will help you every single step of the way, whether it's a whole home generator, maybe some extra plugs for the Christmas lights, maybe it's something in the basement, something in the attic, maybe the garage. Doesn't matter. Whether it's an old Victorian home or a brand new commercial building, indoor or out, Michael Baldy, the electrician, has got to be on your phone. Put him on your speed dial, 314-968-9999, 314-968-9999. You can thank me later. Michael Baldy, BaldyElectric.com.
The University of Missouri St. Louis offers academic programs at the undergraduate, graduate, doctoral, and professional levels to fit any passion, purpose, and schedule. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event.
They'll once again host the Bommarito 500 in August and the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs September 5th through the 7th. Get your tickets now at www.traceway.com.
The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to www.traceway.com.
That's www.traceway.com.
Don't look now, but it's going to be warm out here pretty soon, and you're going to want to open up your window. The only problem is your window hasn't painted shut for a while now. That's why you need to call my neighbor, Larry, or his son, Joe. They run a company called The Window Store, and they've been in business now 35, 36 years. And what's great about The Window Store is that they are a St. Louis company. You often see these commercials where buy 4 windows and get the next 7 free. Well, guess what? When you compare apples to apples, The Window Store doesn't do any of that marketing stuff. It's very simple. You buy 1 window, you pay for 1 window. And when you compare apples to apples, The Window Store prices are significantly better. Every window is energy efficient. Every door is as good as can be. And all you get is great customer service and a great company. St. Louis owned, St. Louis operated The Window Store. WSWindow.net, 739-0002 or WSWindow.net. Call today. Tell them I sent you.
The Bommarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online today at any time at Bommarito.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Time check 11:39 on a Thursday morning. It's a hot and humid and sticky one out there. You're listening to the Frank and Jill Show on KTRS, Talk of St. Louis. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, fun show so far. Dr. Joe Molesky is going to join us in just a few minutes. In the meantime, how would you rate your gardening skills on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably 2.
2? 1. Yeah. It's getting lower and lower because you have no interest in it, you don't have time, or all the above.
I was scarred as a kid because my parents made me do a lot of weeding. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything I'd rather not do in my lifetime.
Yeah. So were they gardeners because they used stuff in the restaurant, or just because they were old school and that's what you did?
Yeah, old school, and I just wanted to make sure I had lots of chores.
So they didn't even really enjoy gardening either. They just did it as a punishment to make your life worse.
Yeah, and do the hedging. We had a hedge, and I had to do those. I was terrible at everything.
Well, we've heard some reports on your behavior as an early child earlier this week. Do you think they were just trying to get you from driving them so crazy?
Probably, yes.
I too had some forced weeding as part of my childhood in the family garden. It was, my mom was old school. I mean, she canned everything, and we had a garden. Also, teacher and pastor's house, not a lot of extra money, so it did help out, I think, part of the time. But I've been talking to a number of friends. I'm a very mediocre gardener at best. I like having a few flower pots, and we don't have much yard anymore, but I'm trying not to let everything die in this summer heat. You've heard about the war on drugs, and there's all kinds of the wars against political correctness in our country, all kinds of things happening. But have you heard about the war on slugs that St. Louisans are undertaking?
I have not. What is that?
Well, apparently we have pretty prime conditions in St. Louis for having, it's a really great place for not only humans like us to survive, but slugs as well. So I want to hear from the Royal Banks of Missouri what your best deterrents are for slugs. What have you figured out through the years works? I know Jennifer and Wendy used to talk about this a fair amount because they were better gardeners in the world of gardening than us. Would you say that's fair?
I can't remember if they talked about the slugs or not. I didn't know this was slug country.
Yeah. Isn't it great to be known for things like that?
I'm very much with Frank that I'd rather not do any yard work again for the rest of my life if I could help it. But unfortunately, it seems like I'm pretty far away from that point.
But
my extent of knowledge of gardening would be when Don Vito Corleone died at his garden while chasing his grandson Anthony. I think it was a tomato garden. That's about all I know about.
Okay, well, that's one way to fertilize it. Okay, here's what Gardener's World magazine has to say about the best common slug and snail deterrent hacks. Coffee grounds, they say that they're said to act as a deterrent because they don't like them around plants. Eggshells, that makes sense if you think about their slimy little bodies getting chopped up. I guess that's a little gruesome, but they say a greasy barrier like Vaseline or WD-40. And I've heard about this before. I think I've even seen these at the bug store. Beer traps. Have you seen those? Apparently, they're kind of attracted to the smell of it, and they kind of slide in, and then they drowned in beer.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Are there maybe there's probably worse ways to go than drowning in beer. Some people, you can buy these copper tape or fancy copper rings, again, that have a sharp edge that I guess slice them up. And then there's something called the garlic drench, which is one of Frank and I's favorite way to eat food is drenched in garlic. Yes. But in this case, they say it's kind of it's the least effective of all of them. But supposedly, if you put garlic out, the slugs don't like it as well. But some say no, they just go around the garlic. It's the least effective of those other ones.
Is there anything better than having a tomato garden and then watching them come out and then just putting that on like with wishbone Italian dressing and pepper and salt? Boy, fresh tomato right out of the garden. That's serious business.
Did you ever eat, I know that it's kind of an old school Midwestern thing, and I've heard other people say their grandparents did this. One of my grandmas ate salt and pepper fresh from the garden tomatoes she grew. The other one put sugar on her tomatoes.
Really?
Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
But it actually was good. I did it as a kid.
Well, there's lots of sugar and ketchup.
I was going to say, so people who go, that sounds terrible.
How many people do you think know that?
But there's a lot of sugar.
And ketchup?
Yeah.
I think it's gotten more widespread as people were kind of watching their carb intake in the last several years. I have to admit something really embarrassing from last weekend. My dad, fortunately, I think getting out of the hospital today, which is great news, but he has a garden box at the senior apartments where they live because he loves to do a little gardening, and he hasn't been able to tend to it for a while. So I went out to what I thought was his garden box, and I was like, oh, man, his tomatoes are doing great, and he's got some peppers here. So I tell the people who are out tending their box next to me, my dad's in the hospital. If any of these tomatoes become ripe, please help yourself to them because we're just not going to be able to harvest them. Enjoy.
Wow.
Next day, I found out that was not my dad's garden box that I had, and I had given away these beautiful tomatoes to the next door neighbors, to somebody I don't know. His
How
garden
generous you are with other people's stuff.
His garden box had indeed no tomatoes in it this year. A ton of onions, which I also pulled them out. My mom and I washed them, sliced them, and froze them. But I did feel very guilty. I tried to go down there a couple more times while I was there last weekend and try to find the neighbors to say, please don't steal those tomatoes. They are indeed not mine to give. But I was unsuccessful, so I don't know how that all turned out.
Huh, that's great.
There's going to be something in their newsletter saying, please stop stealing the tomatoes from your neighbor's garden box. So sorry about that,
we're getting
guys.
some nice comments on the text lines about the Steve Shankman interview yesterday and the Al Hrabowski interview today. So we appreciate you.
Oh, my gosh. And look at all these slug. A lot of people, they use coffee grounds, not only for slugs, but to keep ants out of your kitchen. Beer, a big
So
one.
wait a minute. Okay, coffee grounds to keep ants out of your kitchen. Where do you put the coffee grounds?
I think you put them in the place where the ants, because they're trails, they leave a pheromone trail when the ants come in that that only things like bleach and coffee, really strong smelling things, can kill that pheromone trail, I think.
Okay.
If I remember back to my consumer reporting days, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people saying slugs do love themselves some beer.
Okay, the Royal Banks of Missouri text line open 84126. Maybe a thought about Al Hrabowski, maybe a thought about Hulk Hogan, or a thought about slugs. We'll be right back.
Hey Illinois, this is Ben Barnett, board certified master arborist and owner at Timberline Professional Tree Care. Sorry St. Louis, this message is for our friends in the Metro East. Did you know that most Missouri-based tree contractors can't legally travel into Illinois? This is due to federal motor carrier regulations that require large trucks and their drivers to be registered with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in order to travel across state lines. Almost all other tree services in Missouri fail to meet the requirements for safety, drug and alcohol testing, and equipment maintenance that are required for interstate travel. Here at Timberline, we meet and exceed all of these requirements and will be glad to travel across the river to meet all of your tree care needs. Call us today at 636-479-7475 for tree fertilization, pruning, insect and disease treatment, or complete removal. Or visit our website at stltreecare.com. That's stltreecare.com for service in the Metro East area.
Wake up, it's a brand new day. Getting your weekday started the St. Louis way. It's the McGraw Show.
Hey, it's Carl the intern. Thursday on McGraw's show, he called Conor McCarthy Paul Kopsky 4 times, so now he owes Nurses for Newborns $400. Let's see how many times he can do it on Friday. Text to get him all screwed up.
McGraw, Millhaven, Rose Dalton, and Carl the intern. Weekday mornings, 6 to 10.
Right here on your hometown station, the Big 550, KTRS.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We make this work for you because we realize how important it is to get down in your weight, get your confidence back, and really start feeling like the old you.
Call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
Can you hear it? That's the sound of the beginning of the countdown to Mizzou football.
It's free scooped up by Missouri Zion Young at the 15 to the 10 to the house, to the house, to the house with 30 seconds.
Get geared up, St. Louis, as the Big 550, the home of Mizzou football, brings you all the action and everything Mizzou. Yeah! Don't miss any of the action. We are the Big 550 KTRS. Hear us roar. Starting Thursday.
Thursday, August 28th. Powered by Royal Banks of Missouri.
When you speed, you have less time to react. Follow the speed limit to keep other road users safe. Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
All right, welcome back. Big story of the day. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, 71 years old, passes away, starred in Rocky III, a wrestling Hall of Famer, a guy who's been in some movies, spoke at the Republican National Convention. Quite a character. Hulk Hogan, rest in peace at the age of 71.
Dr.
All right.
Joe Molesky, we always love having him in to talk. Of course, he is from St. Louis MedWeightLoss.com. You know him as one of the early adopters and leading experts on the weight loss drugs and the GLPs. You know him as Ozempic, tirzepatide, but now you can get him in compounded form as well. Makes them a lot less affordable for the regular folks like us. Dr. Joe, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for having me. I think a lot of people, the affordable part is really key. I mean, some of these medications can be, thousands of dollars per month. And, we have an epidemic, an obesity epidemic, to be frank. And, getting people healthy in just trying to at least lose at least 10 to 15 pounds is a start. And these medications, they do that.
Dr. Joe, I want to talk to you about the emotional angle of this, in that how it is literally changing people's lives. Like you probably have see the people before, and then all of a sudden they start doing the drug, and how their lives are transformed. I've run into people like this. Tell our listening audience about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, you get patients that they're depressed. I mean, they're anxious and they don't know where to go. They don't know how to lose the 10, 15 pounds. They don't know how to lose the 30 or 40, 50 pounds. And they're just kind of lost. And, that really affects, multiple aspects of their life, their job, maybe their relationship with their husband or wife. And they get on these meds and, within 20 to 30 days, they're like, wow, the scale's changing. The dieting that I'm doing and the workouts that I'm doing, I actually see real change, and I actually want to continue this positive lifestyle. And then they go into the second month and third month, and that I've seen multiple patients that they're off the depression meds, they're off the anti-anxiety meds, and they're like, wow, I actually have a lot of self-confidence now, and it's changing a lot of the aspects of my life that I was lacking in. They get maybe a promotion at a job. I see so many women that, maybe they enter a new relationship. And, so there's so many aspects that it's not just about weight loss. It's about your mental health. It's about your self-confidence. And so many people are just tired of, yo-yo dieting, and they're tired of it. And these medications, I know we call them drugs, but they're really just injectable proteins. And the GLP-1s is the medication class that they're in. And these GLP-1s, all of our bodies are a big GLP-1. And, there's GLP-1 receptors in our eyes, our lungs, our fat tissue, our heart tissue. And so these medications are not only used for weight loss, they're used for improving patients' levels of inflammation in their body. It improves their skin. It can provide them more mental clarity. So it works in the brain. It works in the gut. It works in a lot of different areas of your body.
Oh, so such great information as well. So I come from a family of folks with, really we have obesity genes for sure, and have people very close to me that have used these drugs and lost upwards of 100 pounds. And an interesting conversation with one of them recently, and they said the thing that we didn't know early on that is such good news for now is that the maintenance is, there's all kinds of things we're discovering, that it isn't the kind of thing where people say, well, are you stuck on it forever, you'll gain it all back, but there's really good maintenance plans now for being able to support people so that you're not doing that thing that almost every other weight loss plan offered, which was a promise of yo-yo weight up and down.
Yeah, and the maintenance is we work with you. I mean, you're on it for 3 to 4 months, and you're like, hey, I want to go off of it, or I want to get on a lower dose. We work with you. We slowly take down the dose, get you on a maintenance dose, spread out the dose. And I've had so many people that they're on it for 4 or 5 months, then they come back to me 6 months later and be like, hey, I just want to do a touch-up. I want to get get back. I got to lose 10, 15 pounds or whatnot. I lost originally 50. Now I want to get back there. It's so many people that you just use it as a tool. It's not a one-fit-all, and everyone's different. And we at STL Med Weight Loss, we make that priority. We treat you like family. You're not just another client to us. We really do what it takes to get you to that goal.
Yeah, one of the things that just came out that I think is so promising is that these drugs may actually reduce the impact of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, Alzheimer's. So they're looking at the clinical trials on that, but Alzheimer's dementia, what they're finding is it has to deal with a lot in part of our diet. Okay, our diet is riddled with high fructose corn syrup, lots of sugar, and just processed food. And they are also classifying Alzheimer's dementia, certain types of it, as diabetes of the brain. And so we have diabetes that can affect your heart. It can affect your skin, your limbs. It can affect your blood sugars, all that. But what about the brain? So diabetes of the brain, I mean, if you think about it, if you have a lot of inflammation in your brain and these meds help, calm your food cravings, adjust your blood sugar levels, and help with decrease inflammation, not only throughout the other parts of your body, but in the brain, you're going to see the clinical trials showing that, wow, yes, it is helping with dementia and preventing it and even improving it. So, yes, we are seeing that quite frequently in the clinical trials.
And the easiest way to contact you, Dr. Joe?
Easiest way, stlmedweightloss.com, or give us a call at 636-628-6604. It's all telehealth based. Meds are shipped right to your door. You don't have to go into a doctor's office. We handle everything over the phone, and we get you what you need promptly.
Dr. Joe Molesky, as always, thanks for joining us from St. Louis Med Weight Loss. Great show today, Frank, and I love all the texts coming in. Thanks for your tips on everything from slugs to Hulk Hogan memories to appreciating the great conversation we started out the show with Al Hrabosky as well. You guys are the best, and we love being with you for 2 hours every single day.
All right, we will take a break. It's going to be the Carney Show and Julie Buck coming up next. We'll be back in 22 hours.